Hi guys, another fun project.
We're going to be using a Raspberry Pi Pico W, but there are many other microcontrollers that you can use. Just need to tweak the code a little bit.
If you don't know what a microcontroller is, don't worry. If you can build Lego, you'll be able to build this too. Also, the black eye, just a running related incident. We're building a cheap vibration generator which can be used for all sorts of stuff, like we did an A-level physics required practical on standing waves. We used it also to make a Chladni plate, which is tons of fun to play with, and you get loads of these cool patterns. We've got thorough videos on these. For example, in the standing wave, we've got graphs, explanations, the lot. Be sure to check out articles on our website with lots of extra info and details.
At school, this is probably about £100 or so, a bit more worth of equipment, which we've replaced with this super simple setup. It looks a bit like spaghetti right now, but this is just a diagram. It's really simple. You've just got a battery, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components. You don't even need that. You can get the components off places like Amazon, AliExpress, eBay for under £20. So you just need to connect it all up. And we also use a breadboard as well, so that you can just take these pieces out and reuse it for other projects. We've got loads of other videos that reuse these components because they're super common components. Like you said, you can pick them up places like Amazon, eBay.
Let's take a look at our circuit. Here we've got a rotary encoder. This allows you to change the frequency that the solenoid vibrates the string at simply by turning it. The frequency is displayed on an SSD screen. You can reuse this SSD screen. We use it in loads of our projects. For example, Pico Pong. By pressing the rotary encoder, you can toggle the vibration of the string on and off. If you don't want to use the rotary encoder and screen, then we've added a little feature where you can control it wirelessly on your phone, tablet, or computer. Put your microcontroller into your breadboard and connect ground on your microcontroller to the ground rails on the breadboard. Connect ground on your SSD screen to any of the ground rails on your breadboard. Connect ground on your rotary encoder to any of the ground rails on the breadboard. We're using a 9-volt battery. You could use a 12-volt DC power supply, but whichever way, put negative of your power source into the ground rail. Connect the emitter of the transistor to ground. For us, the emitter was the left-hand side of the transistor when the flat side is facing you. Set up a high voltage rail from your power source and set up a low voltage rail from your microcontroller. Take your solenoid. You could use a speaker if you wanted to, and take any side of your solenoid and just put it in the high voltage positive rail. Next, you connect the positive of your display, marked here as VCC, to your positive low voltage rail. Do the same thing for the positive of your rotary encoder. We'll finish up the display by wiring the clock pin marked SCL to the 7th pin from the end at this end. And we'll do the same for the data pin marked SDA, and we'll put that into the 6th pin from the top. Then we'll plug it in, see if it works. The values are crazy, which we expected, but the display works. Let's fix those crazy values by finishing up wiring the rotary encoder. So first we got the switch here marked SW, and that goes in 4th from the top of our Raspberry Pi Pico here. And then we've got this DT, which goes right at the top here, the first pin.
And then we've got the CLK, which is the clock pin. And that one goes the second pin down right next to the DT pin. Now we're plugging in the Raspberry Pi Pico again to see if those crazy values are not there, and they're not, so it's working now. So let's bring everything in frame and then twist the rotary encoder. The frequency going up and the frequency going down, and the switch works too. We click it and it's generating false, and then true again. The solenoid has 2 wires coming out of it. Earlier we connected one of them, and now we need to connect the other wire to the collector of the transistor. You could put it in one of the holes that's connected to the collector, but we've gone on the other side of the breadboard to give us more space. With that in mind, we need an extra piece of wire to connect the collector leg of the transistor to the solenoid on the other side of the breadboard. Now we've just got the base of the transistor to connect up, and that just goes in the 5th pin from the edge. It's getting hard to get a clear shot now, but if you're stuck, just refer to the diagram. Let's test this out without the diode, so I'm just plugging in the battery, and as you can see it's working. And now I'm going to use the rotary encoder to play around with the frequencies. And now I'm going to click the rotary encoder to turn it off, generating false. You've seen it working without one, but if you want to play it safe, then you can add a flyback diode to deal with the spikes from the solenoid when it's turned off. This end is connected to the negative of the solenoid, and the cathode marked with a white stripe is connected to the positive of the solenoid. So basically in parallel with the solenoid. The diode will probably reach, but we'll use this extra piece of jumper wire like we've done on our diagram. This is a bit rough and ready. You'll want to trim the legs of your diode to make it all neater. Here you can see we're putting in the jumper wire, cathode to positive, and I couldn't leave the diode over the wires, so here I'm just tucking it in. Could do with cutting the legs off a bit. So you can see this is all working, and let's do some customizations to this. So we said earlier that you don't need this solenoid, you could just use a speaker.
We've got these old speakers, and this one looks easier to take apart, so we'll take it apart and see whether it still works. I'm just going to pull off these spade clips.
So we've got a speaker. I've not got black or red wires. I've just got these. So the orange is going to be the positive. So if you come, look, and I could do this neater, but just for this demonstration, I'm just wrapping them around. Okay. Firstly, we unplug the solenoid. So these are the solenoid wires. Just pull them out. Secondly, the positive of the speaker goes into the high voltage power rail. This one. So yeah, it just slots in there. And finally, the negative of the speaker goes into where the other leg of the solenoid went, the other side of the solenoid, which was the collector of our transistor. So that just comes in here, there. And then if we just turn this on again, you see it works. So if I just, wow, that's really powerful. So if I just stop it, you could definitely attach something onto the hot glue, something on there, and that will vibrate the string. So yeah, let's test out some frequencies. If you come here, you can see that we've got the frequency set at 220 Hertz. And if you've seen our music and code video that we did with Python, then you'll know that 220 Hertz is, 440 Hertz is an A, and if you half that, you get the A, an octave below. So if I just start this,
you can see that it's an A. Perfect.
You can operate the vibration generator remotely with a web browser. I'm starting it and stopping it. I'm going to set the frequency to 220 and start it. And I'll stop it. As with everything we've covered here, loads more detail on the website.
We did manage to harvest the other speaker. With that, we made an impromptu Chladni plate. To do that, we blue tacked the steel sheet from our 3D printer to a glue stick and then held it onto the speaker. If you're wondering what these grains are, that's polenta, but it would work just as well with salt. It looked pretty cool, so we decided to make a more permanent solution in a shoebox. So we've got a bottle cap, M6 bolt with some wing nuts, and then we've just got a cheap aluminium plate. It rests on the speaker and worked a treat. While you're watching this, if you're using the same components as us, the code will just work straight away. Rather than explaining here how you can tweak the code, we'll put that on an accompanying article on our website, which is linked in the description, as we'll keep updating and improving the code and the article with any comments received on YouTube, GitHub or our website. If we videoed a walkthrough here, it would get outdated pretty quickly. Anyways, if you like this video, please do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this, and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.